Good afternoon. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies for, just adjust my seat, today's Monday's musings. Everything in our life is a message, whether we choose to respond to that message or not. And the way that I work, the way that I've always worked, is to communicate with everything that's occurring around me by recognising what I feel inside as a result. That feels like key this week. In order to adjust our seat, in order to take the driving seat of this chariot year. Now, what I really feel in my back, in my kidney space, if you will, is a need to filter collectively. Almost an adrenal fatigue, almost a need to recognise individually and collectively the very speed and flow that we are in and how out of alignment it may be for us on a personal level and the impact that that actually has on everything that we're trying to achieve. And then when we do realise that, it becomes very simple. So we are in the new year. Happy New Year. And I wish everybody all the luck and joy and ease and grace in the world in regards to any resolutions that you may have this year as you lead into 2023. For me, being the year of the chariot and the tower, I'm very aware that any changes that need to be put into place need to be done with a strong structure behind them. And I also recognise the sacredness of this and the realisation that it may take time. And for me, that seems to be the biggest shift. So my only intention this year is to have a life of ease and grace. Now, the screen just flicked. Wouldn't we all like to have a life of ease and grace? And I say my only intention, it's a humdinger, right? It's a whopper. And that feels like a very pivotal moment this week to realise everything that we set into intention this year or any point in our life, anything we are trying to manifest, what we are doing is setting an intention, an inner tension of where we are and where we would like to be, and to feel that conflict, to feel that pull so that we can recognise the best way to move forward with that. You know, when we set an intention, when we try and manifest things, what we are actually saying is where we are isn't good enough, and that's going to affect us emotionally. That isn't to say don't acknowledge that, but it is to say the other side of it. You know, my mother always used to say to me, "You're better than that." Now, that wasn't that I wasn't good enough, but that was always coming from a place of, one, being the oldest child. I know a lot of older children out there may appreciate this, or being the forerunner in anything in particular. And there is an aspect to that this week of knowing better, of having walked the path and realising the experience that we have to share. That's really going to come to light this year in particular. For myself as well, up until July time, and for a lot of, I don't want to say spiritual leaders or teachers, but a lot of people that have been through the mill, the next 6 months in particular are going to come to light the experience that you have gained and your ability to now share that. And it comes down to acknowledging that and owning that in ourselves. So readjusting the seat of the journey. So I didn't want to say spiritual leaders or teachers. Yes, that's definitely an aspect I need to look at this year. And knowing that the answers will be in the very communications that we have with ourselves and with each other. Having them reflected back, but having the courage to be able to look in that mirror and really stare into what is being shown us. So, back to my mother. She always used to say to us, "You're better than that." Now, definitely some of it was because I was an older child, and there is an emphasis, and there will be an emphasis this year, whether we like it or not, on those that have already been through certain things to share guidance and help others. It's there because part of our learning, part of our teaching, part of our very experience, the hero's journey, is to return with the information that we have gathered. In doing that, we enter the west of the medicine wheel. In doing that, we re-embody everything that has led to where we are, and that is the biggest change this year. However, my mother always used to say that as well, because from the eyes of a mother, from the view of unconditional love, we are able to see so much more than people can see when they are involved in a situation, when they are in the very middle of a situation. So when we are setting any intentions, keeping in mind first and foremost, it's going to cause a tension in us, an inner tension. It's going to cause a fight or flight reaction in regards to where we are and where we would like to be. And it is down to us as the guardians of what it is we are trying to achieve. That light's really bright. What it is we are trying to achieve, to navigate the line between the middle ground, to observe and witness the journey that is occurring within us and the impact on the external circumstances. Secondly, to recognize all intentions, I will say should, and I'm going to say should come from the view of reaching our potential, acknowledging that we are still in every moment part of that journey, that, you know, recognizing our worth in every moment is the very step that we need in order to receive our potential and embrace our potential. So what am I getting at? In layman's terms, that's going to be very important this year as well, to bring this real high energy down to, not down, but within an area where everyone can understand it, applicable, to make everything applicable this year. So what am I actually getting at? The plain simple truth of all intentions come from a place of wanting to be the best that we can be, by acknowledging that we've come so far and we're now ready to grow, and having compassion with that, having joy and excitement with that, knowing that you're about to go on another journey. So whether that is manifesting the ideal relationship, that can come with hardships of previous circumstances, whether that is trying to be an ideal weight, an ideal health, an ideal situation. These all come from having our stories in previous places, but they are all aspects of the hero's journey. They are all aspects of finding greater parts of ourselves. So we can think, oh yeah, I just want to lose weight, actually. I just want to lose weight. Okay, but don't be surprised this year in particular if we don't see the bigger collective picture behind everything that we're trying to manifest, which is going to be worth. You know, it is going to want to be healthy. It's going to want to be in relationships that recognise and reflect our worth. It is that is the intention this year. So my simple ease and grace intention is actually quite a humdinger on a soul level, because in order for me to have ease and grace in my life, I know there are many aspects of my current path that need adjusting. My own mindset first and foremost, which brings me back to the energy this week. You know, this morning I woke up late and I just thought, well, that's that intention out the window then. This whole getting up early, 2 days in, not doing that great. And we have a choice this week on what we focus on. We can focus on what we haven't achieved. We can focus on what we have achieved. You know, it's all down to what direction we pick this week. So is there anything else? Yes. Okay. Right. The adrenal feeling in the kidneys. Taking time, seeking out the messages that you need, having them reflected back to you, is going to be the very guide now needed in order to step into a flow that works for you. And the emphasis has to be on what works for you individually this year. What so-and-so does isn't going to work for you, because this year is about acknowledging what we feel. It's about acknowledging the very emotions that we bring to the bigger picture, the power, the force, the drive. It is time this year to see our emotions far beyond a limited restriction towards the very essence of who we are. And the more we can do that, the more we accept what we feel, the more we can do so with curiosity. So the other day I had a trigger, what I would normally see as a trigger, but this way round, what I actually did was wonder why I felt what I felt. And the picture became really quite magnificent, quite deep, actually. We're all very deep beings, and it's up to us what level we want to discover ourselves. But this year, the opportunity to see right into the abyss of our own potential is there for those that are brave enough to dive deep. Okay, or not, as the case may be. But taking time to acknowledge the messages that are being reflected back is going to be key. So So today when I was out on my walk, I took a most beautiful picture of a sun and a tree. And I had this real incredible feeling that many things will be returning, many situations, many plans from now until March. And I am aware of some for myself that are coming to light that still need to be shifted, healed, accepted, acknowledged, embraced, whatever word we want to use for that. Because that's the thing with intentions, you've got that inner tension, right? So we are taking forward the bits that work. And as we let go of the bits that don't, we are going to be aware of what we need to shift from now until March. So it's one thing to say I want to go to the gym. It's another thing to then realise all the reasons that we haven't gone to the gym are going to come to light. Okay, because it's that backwards and forwards motion that we're going to be very aware of this year. So I saw this tree. I knew things were going to return. I could see the sun shining, a beautiful, beautiful new year, new month sunshine. And I really felt the full energy, and I really felt the hermit energy. And then lo and behold, today's guidance was the fool and the hermit energy. And underneath it, the underlying message of the deep abundance that we can have when we realise that we communicate with the universe itself. So it's going back this week to realising that all signs, all messages are there for us to make of them what we will. But that starts with awareness. Now this week, if there's anything to take forward, it's to really hold space for the deeper awareness that is trying to come through. And we will feel that in how we feel. Okay, so we have the Cancerian full moon, I think on Friday, the wolf moon, but it's also the day of the Epiphany. The three wise men, you know, the manifestation of the divine into physical form. Really allowing what needs to flow, be released, be accepted, be responded to this week, just to come to the surface and call us out. You know, it's the full moon, it is the wolf moon. We're thinking howling here, and it is about what needs to call us out now. So for me this morning, it was compassion, definitely, and the lack of compassion that I have for myself, and how that's standing in the way of a life of ease and grace. And this is a new venture for me. It's uncomfortable, but it is a promise that I've made to myself. Just like all intentions, they can be uncomfortable because of that inner tension, that conflict. But it is about looking at what's behind the intention. What have you promised yourself? What does going to the gym promise you? What does finding that relationship that you really are searching for? What is the promise behind that? And it is worth. You know, we all deserve to have a healthy, abundant life full of love and ease and grace. And if we can keep that as our intention, if we can keep the worth as the driving force, then anything is actually possible this year. Okay, so with that in mind, 13. Okay. Let's have a look at the energy this week. So what I'm seeing, 6 of Vessels reunion and the 9 of Arrows dedication. What I'm seeing this week is an energy of temper tantrums, like toddler temper tantrums. So I'm drinking coffee. Now I don't really drink a lot of caffeine, and it's like, well, that's not really in alignment with intentions. I need that right now, and it is recognizing what you do need in order to build a firmer foundation for those intentions long term. So, you know, we expect so much to change in 24 hours. It's New Year's Eve, boom, there you go, New Year's Day, everything has to be changed, and it will be, but it's giving yourself time, compassion, persistence, patience, one step at a time. Often the energy that we use to berate ourselves is stronger than the belief we have in our ability to achieve something. So straight off the bat, we're a non-runner, a non-starter. So really, really looking at that. There was something else I was going to share about intentions, but it's gone out of my mind now. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, so yes, temper tantrums. That's what I was really feeling. Just there's still a little bit of younger energy there around our intentions, which is fantastic. That's what I was going to share. Thank you. From now until March, okay. New Year's Eve, yes, January, based on a calendar. Look around you at the world that you are living in, your environment, and ensure that you are reflecting that. So right now there are bulbs growing outside in my garden, and they're coming up what was planted 6 months ago. Okay, so allowing time for that, because allowing time for what we have planted over the last 6 months is going to help strengthen the resolutions we need to take forward, but recognizing that spring is the new beginning. We are still, in the UK, we are still in the winter. Okay, we are still in that place of allowing what no longer needs to be here to become the fertilizer of what does. So just having that patience with yourself, and it's ironic that I saw it as a temper tantrum energy, because that's my lack of patience, right? My lack of compassion. Now you can really take that on board, because what I actually saw was my sister and how much love and patience she has for her children, and it just blows my mind. So looking out to people that can inspire you with your intentions this week, but first recognizing what the deeper intention is. Okay, so anyway, with that in mind, because that will help with the dedication. And it was the Six of Cups, which is our inner child. Okay, we need our inner child on board. Page of Arrows, yes, the Page of Swords. We need that inner child on board, because that's where the inner tension is. All right, so we really need to ensure that our goals, our aims are in alignment with our inner wild, with that drive, with that emotional force. This morning mine weren't. I did not want to get up. And lo and behold, because I didn't want to get up because I felt tired, I'm now drinking coffee because my body just wants to rest. It's getting over strep A, it's had the new year. There's a lot going on, a lot to be shifted. So just recognizing when we do not recognize what we feel, when we do not hold space for our emotions, our intentions then fall by the wayside, because we have to make a substitute. Getting up and drinking the coffee to keep me going is making a substitute, which has actually affected now my intention. So really being aware of the impact of not listening to our emotions and the effect that that can have on what it is we are trying to achieve. Yeah, 5 of Vessels, 5 of Cups, Ecstasy in this deck. And in this deck, I should have shown you the card actually. In this deck, she's actually dancing in the middle of a pentagram with 5 elements. Loads of cards falling out. Okay, right. Being aware of where your elements are at in order to achieve something. Being aware of your mind, your emotions, your spirit, and your physical actions. But also ensuring that you are aware of your own 5th element, your own connection, your own ability to visualize where you're trying to be, your own recognition that what you're trying to achieve is actually you. Even in this moment, it's your potential, it's where you're headed, and just allowing that to align. And then we have the 7 of Vessels, which is mourning in this cup. And, as we start to align with what it is we are trying to achieve, we start to let go of where we are and recognizing that process for the sacredness that it is, rather than the ego-viewed endurance, is going to be a game changer. Okay, it's going to shift the perspective. It's going to shift the driver's seat. If we can see endurance for the sacredness that it is, we then have the Sun of Life, right? We then have that Sun card from this morning. We then open up to our own soul's light and potential. So, okay, 18 minutes in. I thought it was longer than that. Let's look at the energy this week. There is a real elder type energy coming in, but not in how we would normally see it. It's quite young, it's quite fun, and that's going to leave a lot of people thinking, well, I'm not a teacher. I'm not here to help other people. What do I know? I'm still really young in my energy. Who's to say elder energy has to be old? That's not elder energy. Okay, think of the Fool, think of the Hermit, think of and the Shaman, the Magician, a combination of the two. Okay, 3 coming together, and there is that potential, and when we step into that, it's like the time just slows right down. So I'm seeing the analogy of the film The Matrix, and there's an awful lot going on, there's an awful lot being cleared, but remember that in the Matrix, time slows down to the point where we can adjust, what is occurring. Okay, so if something comes up this week that's a little bit, oh, I'm not sure how I feel about this, remember, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Go into those feelings, slow things down, hold sacred space for yourself, and adjust your reactions accordingly. I haven't seen all the Matrix films, but I am very aware that Neo, I think at one point, leans right back and manages to move out the way of a bullet. So if we want to dodge those bullets this week, slow down, slow down. What are we feeling? What do we need to do? How do we need to react? Because then we have the Three of Vessels, we have joy, the Three of Cups underneath. Okay, so being very aware that there's many things that are being delivered right now, not just our own creations, but all the creations that are linked to it. If we honestly believe that what we want is solely based on our needs, then we have a big lesson this year to learn, because if we can recognize what we're trying to manifest involves many other aspects, many other people, many other situations, and even the drive of Pachamama herself and what she may be trying to achieve, or at least if it doesn't, looking at that, then we will feel that force behind us. Okay, we will feel that energy behind us, and those intentions that may not have had the oomph required by March come springtime will most definitely be ready to be delivered and birthed. Okay. So let's bring it back to this week. And I feel a reluctance there. It's like, once we see what is capable, do I have to bring it back to where I am now? That's the other side of manifesting. Eight of Stones, which is skill. Okay, that's the other side of how we manifest. We're very aware of what it is we're trying to achieve. We can feel into it. We can be deep in the knowing that it's possible. And then we come back and we're like, oh God, I'm miles away. I've got ages to go. I don't want to be where I am. I want to be there. Come back, put in those changes. And every time you need to, keep imagining it. Keep bringing in that energy. Keep that perseverance going. But remember, keep coming back to now. So my son does a lot of healthcare and a lot of weightlifting, and he really takes care of himself. And, he actually recommended to me, because it's part of my thing this year, he actually recommended to me to start taking pictures of where I'm at. It isn't something that I will do, but it is a force behind his journey that helps him to keep going. And that feels like key this week. If you're going to do anything, look at where you were. And I really feel that. Look at where you now are, where you want to be. Is that so much of a big gap? Really? So really being present, but also being aware of where you were and where you'd like to be, and seeing the similarities, then you will see just how far you've come. Okay, that's not to say that we haven't got a distance to go, but stop seeing it from where you were and see it from where you are. Okay, so that's a skill in itself. Yeah, that's going to take work. It's the Eight of Stones, the Eight of Pentacles. It's going to take work, but it's going to be the very basis behind everything you try and achieve, to actually see things from where you are. Right, energy this week and how to best navigate it. Okay, yeah, right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm going to have, 3 for Sunday. Okay, overall. So at the bottom of the pack, my eyes were drawn to a full painting that I'd painted, and inside there's loads of steps going up to a waterfall and a sun, and it's ironically just like this picture actually, which is the Six of Vessels again, and it's reunion. Six of Cups, yeah, so, and the King of Pentacles underneath is portraying a wolf, which is leading up to this wolf moon. Okay, so we want to ground into the energies that are occurring from now until Friday's wolf moon. The Six of Cups, really reuniting with your inner child, really reuniting with the full within us, starting that journey again. There's no point having these intentions if we're going to do them from a place of, what didn't work. If you really want to start this new journey, start this new journey. Embody the full, really reunite with the hero of your own path this week. By connecting to the inner child, taking some time for creativity, recognizing that creativity is spirituality. There's going to be a big, big shift this year when we realize that creativity is spirituality, that recreation is medicinal, And that's not just on the drug front, but on every front. Recreation, self-care is actually medicinal. Now we know this, but this is going to be on another level once we recognize that creativity is our very spirit's ability to put energy into physical presence. It's the epiphany, right? It's physical manifestation of our own divine light. That's creativity. So when you think about painting a picture, you know, realizing that that is what you're doing. When you're thinking about writing something, that is what you're sharing. You're sharing your light. Okay, so overall, the energy this week, we have the Four of Swords, the Four of Arrows, which is rest. Really acknowledging that rest is one of the biggest changes. Okay, if we can take time to be where we are, things can be able to shift on their own accord. Transition here. In the time of transition, you don't need to do anything. You need to rest. You need to honor the process, the sacredness of what is occurring. And this might not be ideal, the first week of January. January is a blue month for a reason. We have, I think it's around about the 15th or the 17th of January, the most depressing day of the year. And it's no coincidence that we are being bombarded with messages to change who we are, messages of new year, new you, messages of we are not good enough. Okay, so really resting with that this week and really looking at where the intentions come from, holding space for the sacredness that is available if we just take that moment to be where we are. So much can shift from that. Less is more this year. Any intentions, keep them loose fitting. Be very flexible in what it is you are trying to achieve. Be very flexible and open to yourself as well. And not pushing, if you don't feel like doing something, not pushing it this week at least. Okay. So we then have the Knight of Bows, which is the Knight of Wands, which is the fox. That charging in, normally depicted for this energy, isn't actually depicted on here. He's at peace. He's half awake, half asleep. He's walking the path, but he's kind of still in between the realm of where he was and where he wants to be. And that deserves some sacredness. That deserves some respect on the Monday in particular, because as we go into the Tuesday, it's that we have got the Nine of Bows. We have respect here. Now he looks like quite a ominous character, but he's one that goes throughout the deck. This is the new Wildwood Tarot, and he goes throughout the deck here, and he's actually, I think, portrayed as the shaman in the very beginning. And he recognises here that if we respect this transition, you know, in the background, he's already built a home, he's already built the arrows that he needs, he's ready, okay? He's ready to move forward. Unlike the normal Nine of Wands cards in the tarot, he has a great drive behind him because he's earned that respect for himself and his own process on the Tuesday, and that will be reflected back. That will be reflected back, provided we don't go charging in, demanding it, okay? Because when we demand things, when we demand respect, when we demand a certain reaction, what we're actually doing is asking someone else to give us what we can't do ourselves. So pause on the Tuesday, take stock. What am I wanting here? What am I seeking here? What am I going after here? And how can I best respect myself in this process? And in turn, others. On the Wednesday, we then have the Three of Bows, which is fulfillment. We have a lot of wand cards this week. The Three of Bows, which is fulfillment. Now, it is this transformative energy, this inner tension that is going to move us forward. This Kundalini energy that is going to rise up within us and cause the healing now needed. So we have the respect on the Tuesday. We then have the fulfillment of that. The bow has been handed to from the Nine of Wands, the Nine of Bows to the Three of Bows. And there feels like there's a message in that. So let's pause with that. We can decide this week to focus on the endurances. We can decide this week to focus on the healing. We can decide this week to focus on the very thing that has got us where we are. Or we can decide to focus on the healing, the endurances, and the very things that's got us where we are. What matters is the energy behind it. So are we focusing on the shadow? Are we focusing on the light? Are we focusing on what we've gained? Are we focusing on what we still have yet to gain? Finding the middle ground between them both, realizing that They are what is going to lead to the respect we need to seek the fulfillment that we are trying to achieve. And then on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's decisions to be made. So we now have the Two of Bows here. And it's a masculine action here. So it is about what we decide to do with it all. Okay, we can ask for respect. We can seek out fulfillment outside of us. But unless we've got it inside, it's never going to be enough. So what decisions do we need to make about ourselves and our own journey on the Thursday? On the Friday, we have the Hooded Man. We have the Hermit. It does feel like a time for retreat. You know, this is the full moon, the wolf moon, a time for retreat, a time to go within, a time to really listen to what we are feeling on the Friday, to see our feelings for the light that they bring. On the Saturday, we then have the Queen of Stones, the Queen of Pentacles, which is the bear. So if we haven't taken that time on the Friday, we do run the risk of being a bear with a sore head. We do run the risk of coming out of our cave quite aggressively. I'm just trying to think, yeah, we have the Sunday there. But we also have the opportunity to rest. The very message at the beginning of the week, to rest, to reconnect to a flow that is more divinely guided for us, more respectful of our needs, our fulfillment, more supportive of any decisions that we need to make. So by the end of the week, it is really about connecting to our ability to nurture our physical body and our place here. Okay, that feels like the essence here, to look at how we are as a mother to our own creations by the weekend. On the Sunday, we have 3 cards on the Sunday. So we do have the 10 of Pentacles here, the 10 of Stones, the home. We also have the 7 of Bows, clearance. And then right next to that, we have the 5 of Arrows, frustration. I don't know if you can see them. So either side, okay, it is again recognizing that intentions form that inner tension. Either side, we have the opportunity to clear any energy that is frustrating us now in regards to our own home, our own hearth, our own heart. I've already written the blog, believe it or not, for Friday's full moon. It came through very, very quickly. And at first I questioned that. I questioned the ease and grace that it came through. I felt like there wasn't enough, like I needed more answers, like maybe there was more information. And that feels like key this week, to actually respect our connection to what is being reflected back, to fulfill what is being asked of us as a result of that. But one of the biggest messages of the blog was that the home is where the heart is. So as we are getting frustrated with our ability to or not create our intentions, what we are doing is pulling at those heartstrings. We're pulling at those 7 of Bows. We're pulling at that defensive energy that has been in the way, not between us and other people, not between us and my fists, not between us and what we are trying to achieve, but between us and ourselves. This week is very much about opening up to our own potential, reuniting with our own inner wild, and we're going to feel that calling, and we're going to have that reflected back, and we're going to have the choice to say, you don't respect me, you're not fulfilling me, or this situation isn't good enough, or we can go in and go, what respect do I need from me? What am I trying to fulfill? What decisions do I need to make? Because ultimately, the heart knows what it wants, and it's going to get frustrated because it needs to clear out everything that it doesn't this week. Okay, so 33 minutes. Let's have a little look. There are new energies at play this week that may not feel as clear, as accurate. These cards I haven't worked with before, and I could definitely feel that at first. And I could almost feel a little bit of a wobble until I went into knowing that I've worked with my energy for years now, you know, and that hasn't changed. You've been in your body for as long as you've been in your body, regardless of what's going on around you. It is about trusting your body for the home that it is and clearing out anything that is causing you to doubt that. This week, you know, we can point at situations or people, but actually, if everything is reflecting back certain aspects of what is going on, what is causing you to doubt? yourself? What is causing you to wobble in your own structure and your own foundation this week? Really looking at that and recognizing and embracing the respect for yourself that you now deserve from yourself. Okay, so we have one major arcana, which is the Hermit. Not surprised this week as we lead into the moon energy. We also have the full moon, which is also the Hermit and the Moon card energy this week. But it is very much this year, even though it's the Chariot, even though it's the Tower card and, you know, the Cancerian energy, which is what the full moon is, I really feel an essence of connecting to the inner love that we are this year. Now, I've shared some funny posts on my Facebook. Some of them have been very tongue-in-cheek. And one of them was a clip from Silence of the Lambs, walking past everyone in the prison and then being different years. And as we got to 2023, that's when Clarissa faced Hannibal Lecter. Yes, that potential is there. That potential is there. But if we can recognise the very love behind it, we can recognise that all the changes that are occurring because we don't recognise, we don't respect ourselves and the love that we are. We don't honour our own worth. And everything that's shifting around us, we can see it for what it actually is. Whether that's, you know, I don't want to give away too much of the blog this week, but whether that's unconditional love, whether it's obsessive love, codependent love, at the end of the day, it's all about returning, reuniting, flowing to the love that we are. So we have the Hermit. We then have one, two. I have to remember that the cards have different names, and this week it feels important to acknowledge that things may have a different name but it's still the same energy. And again, my cat is calling, which is what she did last week, so just excuse me. So ironic, because exactly the same thing happened last week. Just as I'm talking about things having different names but being the same energy. Being very aware of that. As we lead up to the full moon, we can give a feeling a name. Okay, we can say that it's this and it's come from here, and at the end of the day, a feeling is a feeling. It's a calling. Okay, it's a calling to acknowledge something. So what are we being called to acknowledge this week? For me, it's like frustration, right? Frustration in my home, where I have to ask my son to be quiet while I do a video, or get interrupted by my cat who wants to go out. So frustration with my environment this week is definitely calling me to step up and clear things out. Okay, so we have, on that note, 1, 2, yes, 2 sword cards. The peace that comes from resting in the times of frustration, from doing the best that we can. This week, guys, do the best that you can, okay? Because that is good enough. It's better to do something to the best of your ability than not do it because of the judgments of how you feel it should be. Show up, do the best that you can, rest when you need to. Avoid that frustration with yourself by trying to catch something, to achieve something, to manifest something that isn't quite ready yet. Okay, so we have that goat there. We have still the leftover from the Capricorn new moon, which again I've mentioned in the blog. I'll put a link to it in the comments. But there is still energy left over from the new moon as we go into the full moon. There is still energy left over from last year, the devil year, the Capricorn, right? The lovers. There's still that energy left over until we go into March. So doing what you can at the moment, recognizing that just because a calendar says the year has changed doesn't mean everything will suddenly shift. Honoring, respecting that process within yourself will bring about bigger, deeper, more long-term changes on more levels. Okay, so we then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not counting the stuff that the Hermit has in his hand, and that feels quite important this week. being aware if you are counting the very staff that leads you forward. Are you counting the very spirit that drives you forward this week? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1 cards. We have that point of change. We have that aspect of spiritual change here by not charging in, by respecting where we are. You know, the 9 of Wands is very similar to the Hermit, and that he stands there and he's recognised where he's been. That feels quite key, recognising where we have been in order to respect the process that is now needed to bring forward the fulfilment of any decisions before we jump on board with the whole clearance thing. And your body's going to say, you know, that's the hanged man, that's the Hermit, that's the staff of the Hermit, that's what guides us forward, our body. Your body's going to say if it's too much this week, and it is really about trusting that and not fighting that this week, respecting the body, knowing that the body is aware of what you are trying to achieve and the decisions to be made, and it's part of it, but it can only do that at a certain level. Okay, so we can go down the gym and we can run, you know, way more than we're used to, or lift way more many weights than we're used to, and the body can only take so much. We can try and achieve so much at work, but the body can only take so much. And it is really respecting and rehabilitating the physical body this week for the very guide that it will be. Without our body, we cannot carry forward what it is we are trying to do. Without our body, our very spirit has no vessel, and it's about being aware of that this week. Because the cards that are left, we have obviously the Hermit. I keep wanting to say the Hanged Man. I keep wanting to say the Hanged Man. And I want to bring that full circle to the beginning of the messages at the very start of this video. Odin, the Hanged Man, the Christ consciousness, Buddha, what did they do? They went out and they shared their experiences, they shared their insights. Doing that this week is going to bring a lot of structure, a lot of balance, not to any other situation or intention than yourself. Okay, so deciding what you want to share this week, ensuring that it is in balance, ensuring that it is building foundations towards the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is very much about sharing our wealth, but ensuring that we do so from a place of nurture, not only for the people that we are sharing it with, but for ourselves. The rescuer mentality really came up this morning for me, and being very aware of helping somebody. We only ever help people from the place that we're at. Okay, so I know to work on my areas of compassion will help me give more compassion to others, and I'm aware of that through a lack of compassion for myself and for others. And I can look at that reflection, and I can look at where it's come from, and I can look at where I now need to move forward with that. So this week in particular, being aware of what you share, where it comes from, with yourself included, okay, and really looking at the bigger light behind that. And the way to do that is to feel into the human body. It's to feel into what needs defrosting almost. That's what I hear. It's to feel into the connection that we have with ourselves. Okay, so very, very, very complicated energy this week if we choose to let it be. But one of the biggest things we are returning to is the relationship that we have with our physical form. Yeah, rebirth. And we're back to the Queen of Pentacles here. Yeah, we're back to the Eight of Cups. Rebirth, recognizing our physical body for the vessel that it is. Recognizing the abundance that comes when we nurture our connection here. When we nurture, you know, there's no point having any intentions if we forget the very, very thing that is going to help us achieve them this week. So keeping that in mind, not having conflict with the trainer, the coach, the guide that is going to help you receive what it is you're trying to receive from now until March. Okay, knowing that it's a process, respecting that and respecting yourself. Take care. May you have a week of ease and grace, and I shall see you next Monday. Take care.